right now. There's just too many guys playing well ahead of him. And I know what he did last year, and he's fun, and he's part of the future. And then Edey's going to play. So it's going to be less minutes probably for Huff. It's going to be less minutes, certainly. You're already seeing it with Scottie Pippen, with Marcus Smart's return. But Marcus Smart has been really good, better than I thought he would be. And you throw in the fact that he's a really good defensive player on the perimeter. But this offense is a bonus. I know they haven't played Murderers Row, as I said, but my gosh, they're beating everybody in front of them. I know they got Dallas tomorrow night. Now, Luka came back yesterday. They lost, even though he had, I think, 37. But Irving was out yesterday, so I'm not sure who they'll have. They'll probably have everybody for Tuesday. And then I think you got the Celtics this weekend, maybe. You got the Wizards, who have lost 14 straight. So, again, the schedule has been advantageous. You've played a lot of bad teams. You've played teams that have been hurt. But guess what? They feasted on you last year. Who cares what the situation is? You play the team that's in front of you, and they're winning. They blew a couple earlier in the year. They blew the game against Chicago. They got a revenge on Chicago. Last weekend, not this past weekend, the weekend before. They got swept by Brooklyn. Again, I don't think full-strength Grizzlies, that normally would happen. But you're taking care of business. You're beating the teams you're supposed to beat, and you're beating good teams as well along the way. But there's going to be some challenges coming up.
Yeah, this week, I mean, obviously at Dallas, that's a very difficult game. Certainly a winnable game, but a difficult one. Sacramento back at home is a game that you need to win this week because it's the one home game that you get. So you want to take care of business with them. And then,
are they any healthier, by the way?
I don't know.
Sabonis and Fox, they're back, right?
Fox is definitely playing. I don't know about Sabonis for sure.
Okay.
What his situation
Do you know,
is.
Elijah?
Yeah, they both played last night.
Both played last night? Okay.
Then you've got the back-to-back with Boston and Washington. It'll be interesting to see how that one, how that back-to-back is handled there. Do they maybe, will they sacrifice the Boston game in order to make sure they get the win at Washington? Because I'm sure, I still doubt that they're going to be, like Ja, for instance, I would think there's a good chance he doesn't play both games of a back-to-back right now. I don't know. Maybe he will. We'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some guys come down with some soreness before the Boston game on Saturday and then are ready to go for Washington on Sunday.
Okay, I could see that happening, but I could also see this, where they go full tilt for Boston, thinking that they could really stun the NBA, win at the Boston Garden, and then on Sunday, they're so deep that they could rest a few guys, go through the motions, and still beat Washington. I'm not saying that'll be the case, but I could see it both ways.
They could try that approach. That would be a possibility. I would guess there will be some guys rested and not playing both games of that back-to-back.
Lawn Solutions is a locally owned weed control fertilization company that serves the greater Memphis area. Again, locally owned, family operated. This is a business that just knows what they're doing. They've been around for a long, long time. They could take care of your lawn. They take care of my lawn, and they do so all year long. They're killing the weeds, getting you that green plush lawn. And right now, while the grass is pretty much dormant, it's cold, we're going below freezing, they're still taking care of your lawn. They're applying what they call pre-emergence during the winter months. They apply post-emergence during the summer months. So when spring is sprung, there's no weeds. But again, if you haven't used their services, come spring, you have all kinds of weeds, all you have to do is give them a call. Lawn Solutions will take care of it for you. They can take care of any disease your lawn has or any insect infestation. If you got grub worms, if you got molds, any problems with your grass, you call the experts at Lawn Solutions. Lawn Solutions, the number 901-867-5626. Heck, you could ask for the owner. Ask for the owner because they'll talk to you. That's what they do. Brandon Holly gives his number, his email out to people and says, listen, if you have a problem, just call me or email me. I will take care of that for you. He's good people. It's a good family. And again, they've been doing this for a long, long time. They know what they're doing. Lawn Solutions, 901-867-5626 or go online to lawnsolutionsinc.net. Hour 3 on the way. We'll talk college football with Barrett Sallee, and then we'll get into the NFL. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
new arcade games, or just get all of them. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstocked and priced to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits, and all fire pits at Family Leisure are 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Well, say no more. Spas are in stock and they're ready for delivery and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for a very limited time. So come on, check out the gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find at Family Leisure. Wynn Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Ken Garland, you are in your 72nd year of business. Your son William is now joining you. What do you think is the key to your longevity in the building business?
My dad started the business in 1965, and I think being on the job sites daily and being accessible to homeowners has been a key to our success.
You guys have a work ethic, as you like to say. You're not hiring people to be on the site. You guys are there every day.
We interact with the subcontractors multiple times a day on each job site. You know, I think that has been a key, as well as using the same subcontractors 20 plus years in most cases.
When you talk about materials, what is the first thing you're thinking about when somebody comes to you to build a home?
You know, we're just trying to meet the expectations of the client and the homeowner and the architect and give them what their dream is.
When you get a Ken Garland home, what do you guarantee?
We'll be there after the job is finished. We're still accessible to all our clients.
Now I need to know, how do I get a hold of Ken Garland?
You can reach us at kengarland.com.
Traffic brought to you by 901 East to go 3135 Kirby Wynn Road in Monmouth. Pick up on Axel and Eats on the line at 901eats.com. Eats with the Z. Good food fast.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Trying to clean up this wreck over here. Everybody's staring at as they drive by. 40 eastbound just past Witten Road. Of course, the heaviest flow of traffic's over on the westbound side this time of the morning as you travel between Witten Road and Sycamore View Road. Again, the crash over in the eastbound lanes just past Witten Road. Traffic's on the increase. Even more, it looks like, here on I-40 coming in from Fayette County. Shop now and save during this holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Brad Mooresworthy and Bryant Dacus. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. Here once again are Greg Aston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:04 the time. Hour 3 here on Sports 56 Mornings. The Monday, December 2nd, 2024 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers. 23 days until Christmas. Crazy. Crazy how fast time flies by. It is cold. Let's just put it that way. 34 degrees. Not going to get up into the 50s today. You're talking about 49 for a high. And then tomorrow, even colder, 25 overnight low into your Tuesday, and then for a high of 42 for Tuesday with sunshine. The sunshine makes it nice. When it's gloomy and gray in 42, it's a lot worse, at least in my opinion, than when it's sunny in 42. It just feels different. But anyway, that's the deal. That's the weather. It's not the best. Could be worse. Could be in Buffalo, where there was a snowstorm last night for the Bills game against the 49ers. We'll talk more about that later on in the hour. Barrett Sallee will join us in just a moment. Do want to tell you about our third hour sponsor, and that is Jenkins Floors and More, located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, Mississippi. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock. You're looking for flooring and carpeting? That's what they specialize in. Everything from ceramic and porcelain tiles to hardwoods by Portercraft, to carpeting from Southern Luxury Carpet, backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, plantation shutters and blinds, and so much more. They sell at wholesale. Skip the middleman, save you lots of money in the process. Go visit them in Horn Lake at 2356 Goodman Road. They're open Monday through Saturday, or call them at 662-469-9350. They'll come to you. They'll give you a free estimate, and they promise a 2-week turnaround to get the job done. It's Jenkins Floors and more. Time now to talk with Barrett Sallee.
It's time to talk some college football. Joining Greg and Eli is Barrett Sallee, host of the College Football Smothered and Covered podcast and SiriusXM College Sports Radio, and columnist for Outkick.com. Here's Barrett Sallee with Greg and Eli.
And make sure to follow Barrett on Twitter at Barrett Sallee. He joins us every Monday during the college football season. Good morning, Barrett.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Doing fantastic. It's not as crazy a Monday as I thought it would probably be after the college football weekend. It seems like most things will be settled for the committee, with the exception of maybe one spot.
Yeah, that seems like it's going to be the case. I mean, I guess you can say that there might be some intrigue on who gets the home games, the 5 through 8 spots. But I think pretty much we know what those teams are, just where they sit. But yeah, it does seem now like that final spot, if chalk holds, will be Alabama, Ole Miss, maybe South Carolina certainly in that mix, maybe somebody else. But that also depends on chalk holding, which in this day and age, in this season, might be easier said than done. But it's kind of sorting itself out to where we're not getting a ton of entries.
Do you believe that you were talking about that if SMU's in regardless, so if they lose the ACC championship game, they become the 12th team?
I wouldn't even say 12. I think they're higher than that.
Well, no, I'm just saying it. I don't know where they're ranked or whatever, but I'm just saying that then the 12, then we know the 12.
Yeah, they'd be in. Although Clemson would jump in, which would knock somebody out. But I think with SMU, there are a lot of factors at play. I think the first one is that they ran the table in the ACC during the regular season. That is impressive in and of itself. I don't care, that it is the ACC or that the strength of schedule isn't that great. Running the table is very impressive. Now, their loss to BYU out of conference doesn't look as good now as maybe it did 3 weeks ago. But still, you can't play your way into a spot like that and then fall out completely. And I don't think the committee is going to treat the conference championship games as a way to eliminate teams altogether. I mean, look, if you're on the bubble, you're on the bubble. Fine. The Big 12's in that situation. I would say the Mountain West is in that situation too. But with a team like SMU, there's just so much they have going for it. It's a different-looking team now than it was when they had that loss. If you recall, that's when they put in Kevin Jennings and benched Preston Stone. So I don't think a loss eliminates SMU. What it does would be put Clemson in, and then I think it would actually clear a lot of things up, because then you wouldn't really have South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss vying for that last spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we kind of know 11 now, and that would be your 12th by getting Clemson if SMU's still in. If SMU does win, do you think it is absolutely that last spot will go to one of the SEC teams?
Yeah.
Who else is in the running? Miami?
Well, yeah, it would be Miami. I think the debate would be Miami, South Carolina, Alabama, and then to a lesser extent, Ole Miss. I know Lane tried to lobby a little bit yesterday. For me, I think it would be Miami, Alabama, and South Carolina. And I think Syracuse jumping in, and which I think is going to happen, and the realization that Syracuse is actually pretty damn good, is a problem for the SEC teams, because all the committee cares about is that number, right? If you have a number next to your name, that is huge. If you were 26, 27, or 28, there's a massive drop-off. Syracuse is going to be in the top 25. They're not going anywhere because they don't play again. So I Miami doesn't deserve to be in my opinion, for a lot of different reasons. But if Syracuse jumps in, that helps them a lot, and might put them over the top. I still have my doubts, but the record is the record. Wins and losses matter, and a 10-2 team is a lot different than a 9-3 team in their mind.
It's hard to digest that the ACC in that scenario would have 3, and that would be tied with the SEC and behind the Big Ten. I can't even imagine that, but it is a possibility. Now, as far as
the ACC having 2,
well, it would be
the SMU and Miami
and Clemson.
No, if Clemson's in, then
if Clemson's in, then Miami, there's no way Miami.
Oh, you're talking with Clemson losing and then opening the spot for Miami. Gotcha. Okay, let's say that Clemson does lose that game, and I think they will lose that game, although they have 9 lives. It's amazing that they're still in the running. I don't understand this. If teams have the same record and they've played each other, that should eliminate the team that lost. South Carolina may be hot, but they played Alabama, lost. They played Ole Miss, lost. That's it. They're done. I don't understand why South Carolina is getting the love over Ole Miss.
Well, I think South Carolina should be in because the committee has set a precedent that injuries matter. And I know Ole Miss folks will say they didn't have Trey Harris and they still won, and Alabama folks will say whatever. But a quarterback is different, way different. Okay, and South Carolina losing Lenore Sellers halfway through that LSU game cost them the game. Period. End of story. Because he was unbelievable in that first half, and they've already set the precedent. And I know I'm going back to previous seasons, and I really hate that because everything's different, landscapes are different, whatever. But they've set the precedent that injuries to quarterbacks are massive. Okay, so if that's going to be the case, and I think it should be, then South Carolina would have a different record, right? It would have a different record. So a 10-win team versus a 9-win team. I'm not saying it would count totally in their mind, but losing a quarterback in a game that you were going to win and you were dominating, and that player was dominating, is way different than losing, a Prince and Trey for Ole Miss or whatever. So that to me is how you justify South Carolina. And then at the same time, and they've admitted this in the past, and it's in their protocols, that improving throughout the season matters too. Mm-hmm. We can argue whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, whatever. But that's going to be factored into.
Well, you make a compelling case, so you would be good arguing in that room for South Carolina. Last year's different because the quarterback wasn't available for the actual playoffs. This quarterback is available for the playoffs. I
Correct.
still think that they will rank Alabama ahead of South Carolina and probably Ole Miss behind them, but I'd still argue no matter what the situation was. And again, you like I said, Barrett, you made a compelling case. Ole Miss crushed them in Columbia. I'm not going to sit there and go, if Sellers played, they're beating Ole Miss. I don't know.
Sellers did play against Ole Miss.
Well,
no, they did play Ole Miss.
Okay, you played.
Yeah,
So again, why would South Carolina why would they be ahead of Ole Miss? They have the same record.
Because they have the same record, but if Lenore Sellers played in the second half against LSU, would they have the same record?
But again, head-to-head, Ole Miss drubbed them. I don't know. We'll see. But I think they should rank it Alabama. I think they should rank it Ole Miss, Alabama, but they won't. They'll rank Alabama, and then I'm not sure. I think South Carolina will be third out of the 3, but we'll see. As far as Miami, 2 losses to 3. I'm sorry. I think it's going to come from the SEC. If Clemson ends up not winning that game. But if Clemson wins, it's a moot point.
I would generally agree with you. And the problem is, and I'm not, I agree with you, but if I'm going to play devil's advocate, the coaches and players on that team understand what it's like and how you, within the confines of a 60-minute football game, have to find ways to win when you don't play your best, right?
Yeah.
Ole Miss and Alabama didn't really do that very well. Miami did. Now, we can argue that they should have lost 2 more games. Okay. That might be a discussion in there because they do talk about game control. But they found ways to win despite a terrible defense. Now, here's the retort to that, and this is one that I believe. That means you fail the eye test. Right? Mm-hmm. So, look, I'm in agreement. Miami should not be in, like 100%. But I'm telling you, the coaches and players in that meeting room will say that when you're not at your best, you still have to find ways to do it, and that's very hard for players and coaches.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, as you said, now, I mean, if you look at their 2 losses, Syracuse, they said, will be in the top 25. Mm-hmm. Now, they almost got the real help if Georgia Tech had beaten Georgia. Now, they could say that would have been, if our 2 losses are those 2 teams.
Don't run the ball up the middle.
Those losses look a heck of a lot better than we thought those losses would look for Miami.
Yeah, well, I was at that game. Like, what? Like, Buster Faulkner had a phenomenal game plan for 4 quarters. And then in overtime, like, why are you doing this? Like, why
oh my gosh. Don't get me started. You were there. Yeah, you were there. And then with a 17-7, you got the lead. Wait, the lead was, they have a 2-touchdown lead.
17-6 because Kirby went for 2 for some reason.
That's right, 17-6. And again, I don't understand some of the coaching decisions that were made. Georgia Tech, man, why'd you go into prevent, man? You let Georgia score in a minute and a half, whatever it was. That was one that drove me crazy. But look, give Georgia credit. They figured it out. Took 8 overtimes. Is that held against them? No, it's not going to be held against them. They're in the championship game. But if they lose, doesn't matter, right? Not with that schedule.
No, it doesn't. And, I mean, again, I don't think you should be punished for making your way to a championship game either. I mean, I just don't think you can do that. I mean, especially for Georgia with the schedule they have, they'll factor that in. You can't, like, for the Big 12, it's different because the loser wouldn't be in regardless. The winner probably shouldn't be in.
Right.
You just cannot do that. And what then comes into my mind is, okay, how do you deal with Clemson if they lose? Mm-hmm. Because I don't understand the playoff predictor thing that ESPN has, but I'm fascinated by it right now because Clemson's like at 40 or something. And I'm like, well, and I get it because of if they win, they're in.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they lose, are they in? Because if you mess with it, it's still possible. And I don't know. But the most fascinating part of that thing is
that's saying they have a 40% chance of winning against SMU.
Yeah,
that's the only way they're in.
But then if you mess with it and give them a loss, it still says that they can be in. And I'm like, how?
How many losses would that be for them? 3 or 4?
3.
Okay, 3.
3. But the most fascinating part of that is Louisiana has a 2% chance, and I would love somebody to explain that one.
First of all, what do you expect to happen in the SEC championship game?
I think Georgia will get the job done. I think that now they've figured out their offense, or I think maybe more appropriately said, they really welcomed and understand their weaknesses. And I think that will help them basically control that game. They won it in Austin because of their front seven. It was unbelievable. You cannot count on that happening again. I know they have great defense, great players. That was next level, how well they played. But I think the offense still struggled. The offense was actually terrible against Texas, right? I think now, especially with the emergence of a guy like Nate Frazier, they've sort of figured out their passing game, and they just know themselves. They'll take care of it. Take care of Texas. And honestly, like Texas, I don't know, man. Like that offense to me is just not nearly as dynamic as it should be. And, maybe part of that is Quinn. I don't know, but
too many turnovers.
Too many turnovers, correct. I think maybe, they're running out of gas, both of those running backs together. Wisner's kind of the guy that's it's only him. Jaden Blue kind of disappeared. I just think Georgia will, has a better sort of grasp of its strengths and weaknesses and knows maybe how to disguise those a little more.
So How far do you think Ohio State is going to fall for this week for this ranking? Like, do you think Ohio State falls all the way like behind Tennessee, or does Tennessee? How far down do they go?
That's the biggest thing is the branding, right? And Tennessee fans might not like to hear it, but Ohio State has better branding, and they will maybe subconsciously the committee members will recognize that. I think it all comes down to the worst loss, right? Is Arkansas or Michigan worse in their minds? I would think that Arkansas is worse. So
I would say Michigan being at
Tennessee.
home. I'd say the one being at home would make it worse.
That again, it's a very good case. It's a very good point. So I would, and recency bias is in there too, right? Like we talk about who's hot at the right time. Tennessee's hotter than Ohio State. Pretty much everybody in the country is hotter than Ohio State right now. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll still put Ohio State above Tennessee, and that would give Ohio State a home game against. I think that would be like judging on like kind of where it is. That would be kind of an 8-9 matchup. I think Ohio State will be above Tennessee.
I don't think
I wouldn't put them there, but that's just how I think it's going to operate.
I don't think there's any doubt if Ohio State wasn't going to the playoffs, they'd fire Ryan Day yesterday after what happened. Is there any chance, unless they win an Natty, like they come up short, they lose in the first round of the playoff, whatever the case may be, that Ryan Day's not the coach?
Yeah, I think that's out there for sure. I agree with you. They'd have fired him if they weren't in the playoff, and maybe if they weren't in that Georgia semifinal in the Peach Bowl a couple of years ago, the national championship in a couple of years, throw out everything in the coach, like whatever. But yeah, he's not a big game coach. He's just not, and I think that's abundantly clear. And the national championship game he went to, Alabama dominated them, and they had Justin Fields. Right? So to me, I think they would have fired him. And we talked about this linked on SiriusXM. What do the decision makers value, right? National champions or wins over their rival? I think the older guard probably cares about rivalries more than anything else. I think the younger guard cares more about national championships. And that's a tough place to be in. I mean, it's unique. There's never been a coach in this situation before. But I agree with you. If they'd have lost out on a playoff spot, that he'd be gone now. If they lose in the first round, I think it's possible as well. But if they go beyond that, I think they're going to keep him around.
Yeah, I could certainly, especially if they were to lose at home in the first round, to get a home game and lose that at home in the first round, I certainly think it would be a possibility for that.
I agree.
I forgot to mention earlier, I had teased it and came back from a commercial and forgot to mention that, there's a new OC from Mike Norvell. Just happens to be Gus Malzahn as he resigned from his job at UCF. I was going to tweet out like 20 minutes earlier, is he in trouble losing it? And then all of a sudden he leaves, he does a Chip Kelly, and now becomes the offensive coordinator for Mike Norvell at Florida State. So Gus Malzahn leaves UCF. So there's openings now at UCF, West Virginia, North Carolina, Purdue. Anything else going to happen in the college coaching ranks as far as a move made? In your opinion?
To me, I think the only way would be if somebody goes somewhere else, right? Like I don't think there's going to be that many more firings, just because if you were going to do it, you'd have already done it. You need to get things going. Yesterday was the time to do it. So I don't think there will be. Maybe after this weekend, if things start to open up or the assistants start deciding to move around that are in championship games, okay, maybe. But by and large, I think we're where we are, and this is where it's going to stay, at least for the time being.
And the early signing day is this Wednesday, right?
The early signing day is next Wednesday.
I thought it was this Wednesday. I thought they moved it up to this. I thought it was this week.
Yeah, December 4th, right? What is today, the 2nd? Yeah, I think it's the 4th. I think it's Wednesday.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's like at this point, like unless you're keeping your coach to sign the class and then going to fire him, if you're going to do it, you need to do it now.
Yeah. God, it is Wednesday. This whole calendar sucks.
It does. I mentioned that earlier. I said screwed up the whole calendar.
if you're an assistant for Georgia, you're not making in-home visits right now.
Yeah,
There's no way.
it's dumb to have it the week of the championship games. It makes no sense for this one.
Nothing that the sport does makes sense anymore.
Yes, and
It's
that's
a
why
whole different story.
That's why there was a lot of in-season firings, especially in the American Conference. They're trying to make a move before the recruiting and the signing day. So, yeah, the calendar is all mixed up and messed up and kind of squished together here in early December. But the games go on. Barrett, of course, will be covering the SEC Championship down in Atlanta. He's the host of the College Football Smothered and Covered podcast. You can hear him on Sirius XM College Radio as well, and a columnist for Outkick. He's Barrett Sallee. Follow him on Twitter at Barrett Sallee. Listen to him every Monday, talking with us right here on Sports 56 Mornings. Barrett, enjoy that game. Enjoy the weekend of championship games. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Thanks, y'all too. Have a good one.
Thanks, Barrett.
The Ryan Day thing is interesting because I do think, especially if they were to get a home game and lose it that first round, that it wouldn't be shocking at all if he was fired.
Right.
He's never finished outside the top 10 in the country. I think about that. The dude's been in the top 10 in the postseason AP poll every year he's been there. He could be fired and it wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, there's expectations for every fan base. Some are outlandish, some are not. The expectations for Ohio State are winning a national championship. Those expectations can't be the same for the University of Memphis. But I know a lot of folks who are Ohio State fans, and all of them to a person says they got to get rid of the guy. Losing to Michigan. This is the year after the national championship. Michigan lost their coach, lost a bunch of players. Great win for Sharon Moore. How about that win? To go into Columbus and do what they did, yeah, that's a fireable offense normally for Ohio State, but now you got the playoffs, so we'll see what happens. More than likely, he won't lose his job, but he's going to be on alert for next year. You got to beat your rival. You have to beat Michigan. Now, they can cure a lot of ills by winning a national championship, but they don't look like a national championship caliber team.
East Coast Wings and Grill, of course, whenever there's action on, and we're going to have plenty of college football action this weekend with the championship games, and then, of course, the bowl games and the playoff, everything else rolls around. The Grizzlies in full swing, Tiger basketball, all kinds of things going on. And when games are on, they're always on at East Coast Wings and a Grill. And you can go there and watch the games. Of course, even if there's nothing going as far as games going on, you can always enjoy great food, great drinks, and just have a good time over at East Coast Wings and Grill. 60 flavors of wings to choose from, 24 draft beers on tap, all kinds of other great food items on that menu for you to enjoy as well. They've got it all at East Coast Wings and Grill, located out in Bartlett, just off Highway 64, right between the Lowe's and Walmart there in the Wolf Chase area. That is where you'll find them, East Coast Wings and Grill.
All right, we'll talk some NFL when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a huge selection and the best prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers.
Briggs Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Briggs Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 new airlines and the largest patch ovens in the Mid-South, Briggs can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Briggs Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger-buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Felix Cavalieri, founding member of the Rascals, will be performing with Six Water, this year's AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and we want to be there too. We'll hear all the iconic hits at the President's Gala on December 26th in Lima, and at halftime, 66 AutoZone Liberty Bowl on December 27th. Get your tickets today by calling the AutoZone Liberty Bowl at 795-7700. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you that fans don't let fans drive through.
So this tweet from a friend of the show, Adam Sparks, says Tennessee playoff tickets prices are very affordable for students. Of course, they don't know yet if they will have a home game, but they may very much get that home game. Said the window is now open for students to reserve tickets for a potential home playoff game at Neyland. Said prices are lower than you think.
Yeah, the question for them is going to be, one, how far does Ohio State fall down? Does Ohio State fall behind them or stay ahead of them? And then will be the SMU situation. If does SMU go ahead of them now? All these type of things. Obviously, if SMU wins their conference, they're going to be a top 4. So there's a lot to be determined there as far as those top 4 things. But I think the Ohio State thing is going to be the biggest one for them of how far Ohio State falls.
Yeah, and unless they do some weird hocus pocus, if Boise State wins the Mountain West, they should be ahead of the Big 12 winner and get that 4th bye. But if UNLV upsets Boise, then more than likely that Big 12 winner will jump. Because they're already going to be ahead of UNLV anyway. So it would depend on how far UNLV moves up, but they are not going to overtake the Big 12. The Big 12 certainly hoping to get one of those byes. All right, NFL Week 13 wraps up tonight with the Browns and the Broncos in Denver. We'll have the game for you right here on Sports 56, 98.5 FM, beginning with the pregame at 7. They'll kick around 7:15, 7:20. The week started on Thanksgiving. Obviously, the 3 games on Thanksgiving, the 2 traditional teams hosting, the Lions and the Cowboys. The Lions hosting the Bears. Rivalry, NFC North. Lions win the game 23-20 to improve to 11-1. They win their 10th straight game. But the big news was the Bears finding another way to lose a game. And in the process, Matt Eberflus The next day, again, timing is everything. They didn't fire him after the game. They let him eat Thanksgiving, I guess, with his family. The next day he comes in, does a press conference, and then they fire him after the press conference instead of before the press conference. But Eberflus fired. I mean, he was clueless when he said afterwards about time management that, no, they did what they were supposed to do. No, you didn't. And it wasn't even close. And the Bears, I mean, they have found every which way to lose a football game.
That was the worst clock management situation that probably in the history of football. The idea to have a timeout left and get one play off in the final 30 seconds of the game is virtually impossible. I don't even understand how there was nobody with a Bears uniform or on that sideline who could have figured that out and said, wait a second, we better call this timeout. That is mind-blowingly bad.
Well, they all deserve blame. Caleb Williams deserves a lot of blame too, but Eberflus, eventually the buck stops with him.
Yeah. He should have had to do the press conference the next day because he should have to answer more questions about what in the hell were you guys doing before he gets fired.
And he didn't admit a mistake. Maybe if he admitted a mistake, they wouldn't have fired him. I don't know.
It just, I've just never seen. I mean, that should be automatic. As soon as the sack happened,
yep,
it should be we got to take the timeout now.
Right.
We wanted to save it to be able to call it to get our field goal unit out, whatever. But no, the sack changes all plans. We have to regroup now. We have to call the timeout. It just doesn't even make sense that nobody thought that. That he's over that sideline and thinks, no, we're gonna let this go. I don't. That is just insane.
I said it was the
I want to know if anybody was in his.
I've seen in my lifetime watching NFL games.
I would like to know if anybody was in his headset yelling "Dude, call the timeout! Call the timeout! Call the timeout!" Or if they were all just letting it go too. Somebody had to be "Dude, what are you doing? Call the timeout!"
Well, your quarterback has no awareness either. I hear people giving him the excuse, well, he's a rookie. And even a rookie, I mean, you should obviously know what the situation is, but it still falls on the doorstep of Eberflus.
Yeah. If you're Williams, one, you can't take the sack. You just, in that situation, that's the one thing you cannot do is get sacked there, take you out of field goal range, and keep the clock running. And two, with what was happening, you certainly can't then change the play when you get to the line of scrimmage.
I know.
I mean, what?
He was taking his good old time.
But and then his post-game comments, he was at first he was well, yeah, we didn't have a timeout. Oh, yeah, that we actually did have a timeout. I was oh, God. They were just
clueless.
They had no idea. Nobody on that entire team had any idea what was happening. And they had a chance to beat the Lions, which is amazing, especially with the way that first half went. The Lions, there was, 1,000,000 yards to 5.
Yeah.
But somehow it was only 16-0. To actually end up in the end of that game with a chance to win it, and then you just do all of that stuff is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the old adage, the bad teams find ways to lose. And they did. Cowboys win their second straight. They beat the Giants 27-20 to improve to 5-7. Giants dropped to 2-10. 50th anniversary of Clint Longley. Clinton Longley Thanksgiving Day game. I remember that one still. DeMarvion Overshone with a 23-yard pick six. I was watching the famous clip from Keenan. What is it? Key and Peele. What's that show? Key and Peele.
Key and Peele.
Yeah, Key and Peele, where they do the player's introduction, and is the most hilarious thing you'll ever see. And when I saw that name, DeMarvion Overshone, I would think, that would be a perfect one for that. But he gets a pick six. Rico Dowdle, how about that? 112-yard rushing game for Dowdle. Dowdle's at a 100-yard rusher. And they win that one 27-20. And then the Packers beat the Dolphins 30-17. Now, people want to blame Tua. Tua doesn't win in cold weather. That's just the way it is. But Tua went 37 of 46 for 365 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'm not so sure the blame is on Tua. Jordan Love went 21 of 28, 274, and he had 2 touchdowns. Packers win by 13. They improved to 9-3. That's a Big loss for the Dolphins. They dropped to 5-7.
Yeah, when I saw what the temperature is going to be in Green Bay, I was pretty confident that the Dolphins were winning that game.
You jumped on that one.
Oh, there's just no chance in hell that they're going into that type of weather and winning a game. I mean, if you're used to Miami weather, you ain't ready for that.
Yeah, and they want to blame Tua. Tua's got a bad track record in cold, but look at the numbers. He put up great numbers in this game. There was one game on Friday. The Chiefs have become Houdini-like. 11-1. The Raiders dropped to 2-10. Again, this goes back to what I just said. Bad teams find ways to lose. Good teams find ways to win. Chiefs recover a botched snap by the Raiders in the closing seconds. Patrick Mahomes, 26 of 46, 306 and a touchdown. Chiefs escape, get their 11th win in 12 games.
I have no idea how they're 11-1. It makes no sense. Like they should have lost probably 3 or 4 games, but they somehow, it just happens. Weird things happen at the end of their games, and it seems to always go their way at the end of the game.
Weird things happened at the end of the Colts-Patriots game as the Colts pull one out in New England, 25-24, officially eliminating the Patriots from playoff contention. They fall to 3-10. Colts get a big win. They improve to 6-7. Anthony Richardson throws a touchdown and then runs for the 2-point conversion in the final 12 seconds. He had 2 touchdown passes, 1 rushing. Not great in numbers as far as completion percentage rate is concerned, but he did what he needed to do down the stretch for the Colts.
Yeah, and on the road, I'm all for going for the 2 in that situation. Even though you're supposed to be the better team, I'm all for on the road going for 2, trying to win it right then.
Steelers and Bengals. The Steelers go to 9-3 with a 44-38 win over the Bengals, who dropped to 4-8. The Bengals, I believe, are 1-3 now when scoring 35 or more points. Mike Tomlin clinches another winning season. He has never had a losing season as the Steelers head coach. He was the one who kept talking about Russell Wilson, and we all said, no, Fields should remain the starter. Russell Wilson, 29-38, 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Joe Burrow, 28-38, 309, 3 touchdowns, a pick, and a losing cause. Calvin Austin, the former Memphis Tiger, caught a touchdown pass and then unfortunately got knocked out of the game with concussion-like symptoms.
He got blasted on that play. Man, oh man, did he get blasted. I just don't. I don't know. I don't understand how the Steelers are 9-3. I don't understand how the Bengals are 4-8. I watched those. Like, I didn't look at those 2 teams independently. I think the Bengals are a way better team than the Steelers, and yet it just doesn't play out that way. I don't know. I don't know why the Bengals can't win games, and I don't know how the Steelers keep winning games.
Well, not that Zach Taylor's a bad coach, but he's no Mike Tomlin. Tomlin is the dude. That's all there is. Chargers beat the Falcons 17-13. They're 8-4. Falcons 6-6. Kirk Cousins threw 4 picks. And then his coach, Raheem Morris, came to his rescue, said, no, he's our guy. Tarheeb still 2 picks for the Chargers, including a 61-yard pick 6. Seahawks beat the Jets 26-21. Jets were leading that entire game. They led 21-7, in fact. Seahawks behind Geno Smith, Rally, Leonard Williams, the 92-yard pick 6. Seahawks 7-5. They're solid right now in getting into the postseason. Unless they have a swoon, they should be in good shape. Jets at 3-9. What an embarrassment. What a season for the Jets.
Yeah, I would call it a train wreck. But who knows where they go from here with Aaron Rodgers and everything else. Kudos to Leonard Williams, though, dude. For a big man to run that far, I kept thinking he was just going to hand it to one of the other guys. Like, you finish this. I don't have it in me, man. That's a long way. But kudos to him, man. Got it done.
He made it. Texans beat the Jaguars 23-20 to go to 8-5. Jags dropped to 2-10. Of course, the story within the story, Trevor Lawrence, while sliding, got drilled in the head. And that caused a fracas, couple of ejections as 2 Texans were thrown out of the game. Just a stupid hit on Trevor Lawrence, and we'll see what happens with him the rest of the way. But certainly you think of Tua when Trevor gets hit like that in the helmet.
That was dirty. I mean, that's just a dirty play. That he was clearly sliding, and that dude launched himself. And kudos to Evan Ingram for stepping up immediately and getting involved. That one, there's just no there is no excusing that whatsoever. That was absolutely just a dirty hit.
We'll get to the rest of the Week 13 results from the NFL when we return for our final segment. Got a little NBA news as well to get to and some Memphis Tiger basketball news all coming up in our final segment.
Folks, the holiday season, the holiday shopping season is here. And today's the last day for you to take advantage of the great deal they got going on over at Genesis Diamonds. They started on Friday, and it continues through today with their huge blowout sale on the lab-grown diamonds. You can go check those out. All different sizes, unbelievable prices right now. Plus, of course, they've got all the top designers when it comes to those handcrafted designer engagement rings. You can find those all over at Genesis Diamonds. Whatever you're looking for when it comes to engagement rings, whatever budget it is, they're going to have something for you. And right now, again, with those lab-grown diamonds, you can save a lot of money. But today is the final day to take advantage of this special sale. Also, of course, anything else that you need from the world of jewelry for that special someone this holiday season, the folks at Genesis Diamonds always have great prices, great selection, and great service as well. Genesis Diamonds, Poplar at Perkins Extended.
You are listening to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again because you need the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
This holiday season, give the gift of Gould's with a Gould's gift card for someone you love. Relaxation, perfectly gifted, is right for everyone. The gift of tranquility with a Gould's Spa gift card is perfect for anyone who deserves a moment to unwind, refresh, and rejuvenate. Because relaxation is the greatest gift of all. Happy holidays from Gould's. Gould's Spa, locally owned and operated since 1932.
Genesis Diamonds. Designer settings.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, finishing up with the NFL, Vikings beat the Cardinals 23-22. Very competitive game there. Vikings improved to 10-2. Cardinals dropped to 6-6. Fifth straight win by Minnesota. Sam Darnold touchdown pass to Aaron Jones with 1:13 left. That was the difference. Commanders blow out the Titans 42-19. They had lost, was it 2 in a row, Eli, or 3 in a row? Commanders. 2 in a row, correct?
I believe it's just 2 in a row. Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, 25 of 30, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick, 9 rushes, 34 yards, and another touchdown. 42-19 over the Titans.
Yeah, that one got ugly early. That one was not pretty. The Nick Westbrook-Akine stat is unbelievable, though. Dude now is
what, receptions and touchdowns?
7 touchdowns on 20 receptions for the year. Like he's one of the league leaders in touchdown receptions, but he only has 20 catches on the year. Absolutely amazing.
It's kind of like the tight ends for Memphis that you always talked about when previewing the Tigers games. The Buccaneers and the Panthers, this one just changed hands like 3 times in the final seconds. It went to overtime. Bucks win 26-23. They improved to 6-6, and it drops the Panthers to 3-9. Bucky Irving, 24 carries, 148 yards, and a touchdown. Bryce Young had hit Adam Thielen with a touchdown pass with just seconds to go to give them the lead, but the Bucks stormed down the field, kicked the field goal to tie it up, and then win it with a field goal in the overtime session. Bryce Young is showing a lot of improvement over the last few weeks.
Yeah, since he came back, he became the starter again. He got back to the starting lineup. He's played good football, and I mean he's done that drive there at the end of the game was really impressive. And the last the touchdown he threw to Thielen, the way he stepped up, like he looks a heck of a lot better now than he did early in the year, and maybe that time kind of getting on the sideline just to kind of get kind of see it from the sideline has helped a lot, but. Chuba Hubbard, got a feel for him. The fumble in overtime. I mean, they were in field goal range. They were going to win the game.
Yep.
And all that. Now their field goal kicker had missed 2 kicks, so he might have missed another. But it was a great play by the Tampa Bay guy, just absolutely ripping that football out of there, and they're able to go down and get the win. But Carolina's overall just has played better. They're having trouble winning these games, but they're playing better, and he's playing a heck of a lot better.
Rams win in New Orleans against the Saints 21-14. They're 6-6. Saints 4-8. Eagles and the Ravens. Big old battle. Could be, who knows, a preview of the Super Bowl. Eagles win 24-19. They go to 10-2. Ravens drop to 8-5. Saquon Barkley was the best of the running backs. 23 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown, taking nothing away from Derrick Henry. But Barkley with that touchdown run, he's the show right now, and the Eagles are really impressive.
Yeah, they are rolling, and he is just every week now. It seems like he's breaking at least one big run at some point. That the combination of, and the thing is with him, and there's a lot of talk about him and the MVP, and should he win that? It's so hard for running backs to win the award anymore. It's just become basically a quarterback award. But Barkley's numbers could be a lot better if he got the 1-yard touchdown runs for that team and not Jalen Hurts on the quarterback sneak, the
tush push.
Like, because if it's a 1-yard line, it's Jalen Hurts. I mean, Saquon never gets any of those touchdowns. He's got 11 touchdowns. The dude probably could easily have 15 or 16 at least if he got some of those 1-yard runs.
Well, that's a good point, but you would hope that the voters take that into consideration. But I think there's a good chance he could end up being the MVP. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. But one guy certainly in the running is Josh Allen. And Josh Allen led the Bills in a snowstorm in Buffalo. They beat the 49ers 35-10. Christian McCaffrey got hurt again, and it was a non-contact injury. 49ers are in deep trouble. They're 5-7. Bills go to 10-2. Allen had a touchdown passing, touchdown receiving, touchdown rushing.
Yeah, I had no idea how they scored that.
Me too.
The play would be a touchdown pass and a touchdown reception for him, although he doesn't get a reception. I
know, I was confused.
He gets a receiving touchdown without getting a reception, which is very bizarre. The Christian McCaffrey thing, it looks like they said that it's probably a PCL, could very well be the end of the season for him. The 49ers, it just has been a disaster for them with the injury situation with all their guys, but especially with him. And, that's but Josh Allen, It's pretty darn good. Pretty darn
This
good.
just in, breaking news, right? Browns 3-8 tonight against the Broncos 7-5. Broncos a 6-point favorite. Again, we'll have it for you right here on Sports 56 98.5 FM. Bet Online has updated their odds to win the conference, the Western and Eastern Conferences, the NBA title through 6 weeks of the NBA season. The Grizzlies are still 8th pick in the West. Hard to believe. Grizzlies 18-1 to win the West. And then the Rockets are behind them at 45-1, who right now are ahead of the Grizzlies in the standings in second place behind Oklahoma City. The Grizzlies are third. But ahead of the Grizzlies, the Thunder, the Mavericks, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Suns, the Timberwolves, and the Lakers. Again, Grizzlies 18-1 to win the West. As far as the NBA title to win it all, the Grizzlies are at 40-1. They were at 33-1 on November 4th. A month later, basically, they dropped to 40-1. I don't get it, but that's the case. The Memphis Tigers will find out pretty soon from both the coaches' polls and the AP poll where they will be, because they will definitely be in the top 25 poll, and most believe they'll be somewhere in the middle. John Rothstein and his 45, Rothstein's 45 ranks 45 teams in college basketball, has Memphis this week at number 14. We'll find that out later on today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Among our guests tomorrow, Nolan Smith's going to join us, Memphis Tigers assistant coach, the former Duke standout. We'll talk college football with Connor O'Gara. We'll have Humdinger's Trivia. It all comes your way starting bright and early at 7 a.m. I want to thank Barrett Salih for joining us on the program today. And, of course, thank you, folks, for listening. We appreciate it. Dave Woloshin, the prodigal son, is back. It's Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, and it's coming up next. For Eli Savoy and Elijah Seegers, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everyone.
Sports fans out there, Walker Taylor here with the Germantown and Collierville Commissary. We just